Welcome to my channel. You're watching KayNVy Monsters. In today's video, I'm going to be covering my perspective from a recent tournament that we did with the VB Fight Club Discord called the Defenseless Tournament. The one major rule for this tournament was that you can only use Digimon with 6000 BP or less, and the team that I decided to go with is going to be Apollomon in Rasenmon Fury mode. Apollomon has the UR ability that raises its own AP by 25%, and Rasenmon Fury mode has the SSR ability that raises its allies' AP by 20% at the start of the battle, and that applies to both monsters, so an extra 20% for Rasen Fury mode, and then an additional 45% for Apollomon. This is pretty much the only team that I had available at the time, so I wanted to see how I could do in this tournament. So here's the bracket for the tournament, and this is going to be the first round of battles. Basically, it's groups of 3. Whoever wins 2 battles moves on to the next round, and then it will be another group of 3 headed over to the final round, where 2 players will face off for the championship. In the first round, I am going to be going against the actual Paradox and Ace Aegis, and we'll go ahead and get right into the first match. So my first opponent, Ace Aegis, is going to be bringing Grace Novamon with the SR ability and Rasenmon with the SSR ability. And I'm going to decide to lead with Rasen Fury mode here. And so we both decided to go with the Datas in the matchup. Most likely the better option, I believe. There is a weird strategy where you can start with a weaker monster first to build up your W attack level, and then basically what happens is you have your stronger monster facing off against their weaker monster in the end game of the battle. But it doesn't always work. It's a very risky move. So I decided to W attack pretty early on here, and my opponent decided to block with Grace Novamon in the back. Because of Grace Novamon's low BP, it got pretty much almost one shot basically, and so Grace Novamon only has one more hit left on it. So my plan here is to basically just kind of block appropriately. My opponent still has a W attack, so I'm hoping to tank that with Rasenmon Fury mode so that my Apollomon has full health in the back. So I kind of psyched out my opponent here by blocking in the back for a normal attack. And so now they're a little bit confused because they don't know when I'm going to be blocking in the back again. So my idea here, hopefully, is to have my opponent W attack on the next turn. I'll block with Rasen Fury mode, and that way they don't get the one-shot kill on Apollomon. My opponent basically has to block here. The next hit that comes into Grace Novamon or Rasen mode is going to be a KO, and so they won't have the W attack. So I basically, in a sense, kind of forced them to use the W attack on Rasenmon Fury mode here. And because Rasenmon has less HP, that's obviously the better play. And so now Apollomon can come in and sweep the team. I do have to admit, having low BP on the monsters for this tournament is very tricky. It's a lot easier to die. It's a lot easier to get KO'd by W attacks and stuff like that. And so you kind of have to really make the right decisions at the right moments in order to pull off the wins. And it looks like my Apollomon with the boosted AP was able to take out the Rasenmon, so I basically won the first match here. And we'll go ahead and get into the second match. That is going to be up against Paradox. Paradox is going to be bringing in Blitzgreymon from the 25th anniversary and Rasenmon. Blitzgreymon has the SR ability. I'm not sure what that does. And the Rasenmon has the SSR ability, raises both monsters' AP by 20%. So I wasn't sure who to start with in this match here, and so I decided to go with Apollomon very last minute, and I am going second here, so hopefully that was a good play, and it actually was because my opponent decided to lead with Blitzgreymon. So my opponent decides to block in the back with the Rasenmon. Most likely they're trying to preserve their Blitzgreymon, because I also have my data in the back as well, so if they preserve Blitzgreymon, then that's a pretty good way to win the match. I decided to W here just to kind of throw my opponent off. They blocked with the Rasenmon in the back. Got it all the way down to 1 HP. So my opponent's kind of in a weird situation here as well, because their Blitzgreymon does not have any damage on it, so they don't have a high W attack. They would need to switch out into the Rasenmon in the back, but in this tournament, one of the rules was that you can't switch your Digimon to prevent the infinite loop from happening, and so my opponent's kind of stuck here with Blitzgreymon. So my plan here is to just let Apollomon die. Actually, that would not be a good idea because my opponent still has a W attack. I think on this next turn here, I'm going to block in the back. Yeah, so again with the trickery, you block in the back, confuse your opponent, they got a W attack, not sure when to use it now. If I block with Apollomon on the next turn and they use their W attack, then it's basically wasted because Apollomon can be KO'd by a regular attack. So that's kind of why, I mean, when you're in the situation where your Vanguard Digimon is going to die, you kind of have to do things to kind of just trick your opponent into either wasting their W attack or using it at the wrong time. My Apollomon was able to take out the Blitzgreymon, which is actually good because then they don't even get to use the W, and now I can just sweep the game with Rasenmon Fury mode. So there you go. I was able to take the second match. I did move up out of the bracket and on to the next bracket, and so I will go ahead and show you that right now. And so moving on to the next bracket, it looks like Blaze Tony made it out of the first round and Gizzard. So this is going to be the first match of the second round, and I'm going up against Blaze Tony. They have a different username on the app, and Blaze Tony is going to be bringing in the Belphemon Rage mode and the Apollomon. Belphemon has the SSR, which lowers my HP, and then the Apollomon also has the same ability. So they're basically going double life sap, which is a little scary. Right off the bat, they're minusing my monster's HP by 30% with those two abilities. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit tricky. My opponent decides to W attack on their second turn. Rasenmon tanks that. Because my opponent has the minus 30% HP to my team, that W attack was able to take out my Rasenmon Fury mode in the back there. And so I don't have a W to use, and I'm pretty much in the worst possible position. Although Apollomon does have full HP, I'm still being, that's, you know, minus 30 HP. And so for Apollomon to take out both of his monsters here, especially because vaccine against vaccine does even out, so we're doing normal type damage, but my opponent does have the upper hand because of the minus HP ability. They're just gonna be able to get the win on me, because I won't be able to take them out in as many or fewer turns. Okay, I missed a perfect block right there, which is probably not ideal. I think if my opponent also too lets Apollomon go down here, they could still finish me off with the Belphemon, but I don't think I kill it right here. Okay, yeah, it looks like I do kill it. So Belphemon's basically going to finish off the game. And I think that even though the Belphemon is at a type disadvantage, my opponent does have the right idea in mind. At least Belphemon is getting the BP boost on the block. And so that way, it doesn't just die in the back with one hit. So now it's going to take 2 hits for me to KO it here. So yeah, Belphemon survives my attack, and now Apollomon is going to go down. So if my opponent decided to block in the back with Belphemon without the BP boost on the defense minigame, that Belphemon would have died, and then I would have KO'd the Apollomon on that last turn there. But they definitely did the right thing there by just letting the Apollomon die, and then, you know, having the Belphemon finish out the game. And so it is a 3-way battle, and so I lost the first one here, so I do have a chance to tie this all up, and then what we can do is basically just go again. So I'm going to see what I can do against my next opponent here. That's going to be against Gizzard. And my opponent is going to be bringing in the Galacticmon with the SSR and the Big Ukomon with the UR ability. And this is a pretty good team composition for my opponent here, because the Big Ukomon is going to be getting an additional 30% at the start of the battle, because the ally partner is the same type. And so Big Ukomon is basically going to be acting as a tank. And so I get to go first here. I kind of really whiffed it on that first one, only 14 bubbles. My opponent did get negative 25% on the BP. So if you don't hit above a certain amount on the BP minigame, you start to get negative BP. And so I kind of really whiffed it there. If I had gotten a great attack, or like a good attack, 35 bubbles, 40 bubbles on that first turn right there, I could have possibly KO'd the Galacticmon. But because my opponent's health is so low, they decided to W attack on their turn. I was thinking of saving mine because I didn't want to waste it on Galacticmon. I did want to save it for Big Ukomon because of the additional HP. And so I was definitely right. My opponent did block with Galacticmon. They didn't get a perfect block either, so I was able to take it down. And Big Ukomon comes out. I decided to block in the back here with Rasenfurimon. So I'm a little, looking back on this now, I'm a little confused as to why I started doing this, because what I should have done, first and foremost, is probably take one more attack from the Big Ukomon so that Apollomon could have a higher W attack. And then also too, what I could have done is saved the Rasenmon Fury mode in the back because of the additional BP during the minigame. And so I'm not sure why I was blocking in the back there, but that was probably a mistake on my end. Obviously trying to save Apollomon for the W, but if I had taken another attack, W'd after, and then Apollomon went down after that, at least I would have had a full health Rasenmon Fury mode to finish out the game. My opponent does get a KO on the Rasenmon Fury mode in the back, and I've got one more turn to KO this here. And my opponent gets a Guts. So Big Ukomon survives, gets one more turn on the Apollomon, and KOs it. You know, actually, looking back on it now, that big Ukomon would have KO'd my Apollomon if I did block in the front, so maybe that's why I was blocking in the back. That makes a lot of sense. But anyways, those are my matches from the Defenseless tournament from my perspective, and I'm not exactly too sure what I could have done differently on the last two matches. I got kicked out in the round 2, but overall it was a pretty good tournament. I did like the process of finding monsters to use with 6,000 BP or less, and then also just trying to think differently during the game because of how weak all the monsters are. You know, W timing, who to choose first, kind of stuff like that. And so it was definitely a fun tournament. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to win this one, but I do have the results for the winner. So in the end, Gizzard made it through to the final round, and on the opposite side, it was a matchup between Blade, Grace, and Strife, and Grace was able to make it through to the final round. And so the final took place between Grace and Gizzard, and there's a very cool graphic for this final bout here. And unfortunately I don't have the video footage from the final round, but Gizzard was able to win the tournament and take the championship. So yeah, that's my video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. If you're interested in getting involved in any of these tournaments with the Vital Bracelet BE, please join the Discord. We're always doing, you know, random practice matches and stuff like that. There's also a new one coming up that everyone's getting prepared for, called the Yellow Thunder Tournament. So if you're looking to get into competitive VB Arena Vital Bracelet BE Digimon battles, then come into the Discord. We'll see you there. If you have any questions, you can ask them there as well about strategy, stuff like that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I've got another video coming up shortly here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.